IS, and they told us that from tonight 9:30 that the N2 between Mthatha and Aduchwa, that's the one that runs in front of Nelson Mandela's Qunu home, will be closed, and unless you've got accreditation there's no ways that you're actually getting in or past or get onto this stretch of road. And we know that a human chain, when Nelson Mandela's body is brought from the Mthatha airport to his home in Qunu, a human chain is going to line the roads, and that is going to be made up of locals, and they've encouraged everyone to speak to these locals and draw out of them the wonderful stories that they probably have about Nelson Mandela, given the fact that when he was here in Qunu, he had such an open door policy. But speaking about his open door policy, I've got three ladies here who are residents in the village down below, and they're just going to share some of their thoughts about Tata Mandela with us. When you think of Tata Mandela, what are the thoughts that come to mind?
When I think of Tata Mandela, I think of a very, very good man, because, as you know, he comes from a rural area called Qunu, and the whole world, the beautiful things that he has done for us in the world. I mean, I remember when I was young, we used to go at his place, we used to receive gifts when we were young. So you just think about that passion that one has for the little ones, because he was very lovely with the children. So it's just one of those little things that you remember, but they have this huge role within the community.
And now a lot of people are saying that the local people feel that they're being a little bit left out because that, you know, that the rain washed out the viewing areas. Do you feel the municipalities have done enough to enable locals to participate in what's been 10 days of mourning?
Yes, because there are people who have been asked to do work, like they cleaning, they doing everything they could to make sure that everything is back to normal again. So yeah, the municipality has done a lot. Yes.
Now on Sunday, none of the locals and no ordinary people will be allowed into the homestead, into his farm. How do you feel that you can't go in and pay your last respects on Sunday?
About that, because he's also our person and he is the father of the nation, so we would love to be there, all of us, in his honor.
Where will you be on Sunday? What are you ladies going to do on Sunday?
We will be around Qunu. I think we'll be watching the big screens, because we're not sure whether we will be allowed to go there.
All right. So. Thanks for that. And there you heard these young ladies saying, one of them, that Nelson Mandela, when she thinks about him, she thinks about his absolute love for children. And I was here a few days ago, yes, and there was a party put on for some of the local children, the toddlers, because apparently they know that it's been difficult for them to absorb and comprehend that Nelson Mandela is no more. And you'll remember that over the years he held wonderful Christmas parties here in Qunu for the local children. Now what the provincial government did was, I think it was yesterday, they brought up many of these children here to the Youth and Heritage Centre, and they put on a party for them. And they've assured them that although Nelson Mandela is no longer with us, that legacy and the love that he had for children will continue. And they were given little gifts, and the provincial government, this tradition will continue. So that's a lovely legacy that's been left by Nelson Mandela. And as I'm speaking to you now, we're expecting a number of school children to come up. We were hoping they would be here when we spoke to you, but they're not here yet. What's going to be happening, they're going to be taking their hands and they're going to be making handprints, all of this in remembrance of Nelson Mandela. And even in the week leading up to today, on the writings on the wall where they could write and put their last thoughts about Nelson Mandela, it was so amusing. They were standing there and there was one pen to go around, and one little person would be writing on the wall and the next one would be bumping him off or her off so they could get a pen, because they just wanted to put their messages on. So the outpouring of love from young and old has been truly magnificent. And we've also heard, just as far as the logistics go for the funeral on Sunday, that in excess of 20 heads of state and high profile dignitaries will be attending the funeral here in Qunu. So that's going to present a massive logistic nightmare for the authorities. I'm not sure if you can hear that military helicopter overhead now. It's making quite a racket, but that's what it's been like probably since yesterday. intensified, and strict media controls now in place, and GCIS have praised the media. They said to date, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, but as we go forward, please let everybody just respect the boundaries that are going to be put in place. This is for everybody's benefit because everybody's got a job to do, and the SABC will be the main broadcaster of this, and all the foreign media will take their feeds from the SABC. But they did put out a warning to the media that on the day of the funeral, that the burial, wow, that helicopter's making quite a noise. I think it's about to land here in Qunu. It just gives you an indication of how things have hotted up here. Yes, somebody is landing here at Qunu. It's probably having a look over the media center. I'm sure you can hear me a little bit better now, but strict regulations in place. And on the day of the funeral, the burial, as I said, will be completely private. This is for family members only. And GCIS and the government have issued a warning to the media that if they overstep these boundaries when it comes to that private burial, that they will be kicked out of the compound and the surrounding areas. They want the privacy of the family to be respected on the day and now in the last 2 days in the lead up to that event on Sunday.
Thanks, Janine Lee. She, of course, reporting from Qunu for us and just kind of giving us an overall picture of what's happening as we lead up to that funeral on Sunday, the 15th of December. Now, former President Nelson Mandela's oldest living child, Makaziwe, has opened up for the first time since the death of the elder statesman. She spoke exclusively to SABC contributing editor for Yomboko in Qunu.
I grew up very angry, very bitter at my dad because I felt he chose other things rather than us. Every child wants to grow up with both parents. You know, you've seen children who are war babies who travel to countries to find who they are because they want to find their dads, because they want to find out who they are, what makes them up, what's their DNA, what geographical location and environment influences them. And I think it was the same for me until I was in my mid-30s and I said, you know, this little voice says, stop.